Welcome to I Am Creative, the podcast where we embrace the boundless world of creativity. I'm your host, Hollis Citron, here to guide you on a journey beyond the traditional boundaries of art. Whether it's how we dress, how we speak, or how we connect with the world, creativity is at the heart of every moment. Join me as we explore the endless possibilities, celebrate our imperfections, and unleash our creative potential. Ready to breathe in inspiration and breathe out limitations? Let's dive in and meet our inspiring guest for today. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Hollis Citron, and we are so happy that you are here. So let me just dive right in and introduce. So my inspiring guest for today is Atousa Raissyan. She is a life alchemist, transforming suffering to enlightenment and igniting passion in the heart and stillness in the mind. She is a shaman, a transformational life coach, best-selling author, inspirational speaker, poet, and artist. She is dedicated to guiding individuals towards holistic well-being and life mastery through the magic of self-love. I love this. In her private practice, through her speaking engagements, and in the pages of her award-winning book, Change Yourself, Change the World, transform your life from fear-based living to choosing love and seeing magic. Atousa guides people to release their traumas, reprogram their fear-based living, and shift to living a more heart-centered life, and oh, so much more. Oh my gosh, I am so excited for you to meet Atousa if you have not already met her. So, Atousa, welcome to the space.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Atousa and I have known each other. This amazes me because we have known each other for like 3.5 years and have never met.
Yeah.
Which is insane. But so much like I know her, and I'm just so grateful to have had you in Creativity as my first multi-author book, and have seen your book created and out into the world, and just everything that you put out there. So I'm happy for this conversation.
Thank you. I'm happy you're doing these again. This is wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. I love talking to people and expanding this whole conversation on creativity. So let's just dive in. And Atousa, can you please share with us a fun or interesting fact about yourself before we dive in?
Fun or interesting fact. The one that pops up actually after what you said was that our book together, that was my first multi-author book, and that's what set all these other books and writing and all of it came from that one chapter.
It's pretty powerful, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Like that was just like a spark that just went like,
Mm. Love that visual of the spark. Like so often it can happen when we're aware.
mm-hmm.
When we're not aware, it still happens. But it's just that thing that all of a sudden you just didn't expect it.
Yep,
You just
yep,
didn't know.
yep. Did not know at all. Yeah, during writing that chapter, sort of the idea of the book came, and then
Remember.
when I was doing the book, toward the end, the actually when I was doing that book, another multi-author book came that was
Mhm.
aligned as well. But more importantly, like this publishing and other, so it's just like one led to another and it keeps on going.
So good. So I can't wait to dive into all of this. So, okay. So the first official question is, so Atousa, how do you define creativity today?
Life living. It's interesting. I always thought creativity is something that flows from your heart, and it's whatever you put that love into, which can be cooking, which can be visual arts, video, anything really can be that. And even these days, I've expanded it to, it can be even sitting there, that love and that's flowing sort of creates that day, moves that day.
That's just a powerful concept in itself, is just that, that stillness. I remember when, I was lucky enough to have you on my TV show also at the time, and we did that eating meditation. You talked
Yeah.
about different kinds of meditations, and one of them was the eating meditation where we ate the same thing virtually, and practiced, uh, being still and quiet after not being that, and, like, seeing how the food and the drink tasted different, and it did.
It does. It's very powerful. No, people, I give that to a lot of people. I've done it in workshop. I've given it to client, and I think I even have it in the book as part of the practice. And really, people don't realize until they start doing it, that how much it impacts them. And especially people that use food as comfort, and they don't think about eating, they just eat. When they do that, they're like, oh, I actually feel full now. I never had that full feeling. Now I'm feeling full when I do this. So yeah, it's very amazing. I love that.
So let's kind of take us on a little, journey.
Hmm.
And this is the vague part, but wherever you want to start, to because your life, for those who do not know you, was not always, you weren't always a shaman, you weren't always in meditation and in that kind of world. Take us to wherever you want to start to now.
Sure, sounds good. um the place that I want to start actually today, that's coming, and it's been coming past days, that realization. I think people have heard me say this, and I put it in the book, that when I was really young, I watched the movies, and I wanted to be a healer. I watched the prophet movies, and it's like, yeah, this is nice. I like this. I like what they're doing. But even beyond that, I noticed that lately I realized that I had this realization, this connection to God. And I know now, like, God has become this sort of, in some places, even like a word. Oh, no, not God. We're not going to say that word. We're not going to see the G word. But
Right, right.
the thing is that even as a kid, the God that I was feeling and communicating with was never a God that was in religion. It was not an outside God. And it was, even as a kid, I was remembering, just recently, that when I was a kid, I was thinking, it doesn't make sense what they're saying, that this is the God, this, like, God is loving, God is this, but then, oh, be careful what God is going to do to you. And it's just this big old monster out there that's watching me, that's going to do all these things. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. Um, and so for me, even as a kid, was the concept of God was that there's one God, God is love. God is in all of us. God is us, and God sees all, is aware of everything. That's self-awareness. And so, and I could feel that love inside of me. But then, life happens, and those that have read my stories, listen to things. Obviously, the revolution in Iran, the war, and me coming here, all of it had its traumas. My own personal traumas and the family. And it was all, I've talked about this. It's been a journey in, around, like, what, 38, life came to a halt, to say, hey, you can't do this engineering work. This is not where you need to be. We want you somewhere else. And sort of like my life shifted to the work I'm doing now. And that's been the realization. All that work that I've done with and I've been helping others to heal as part of self-awareness, self-acceptance, forgiveness, trust, self-love, all of it is sort of to let go of these layers of identities that we've created throughout our life, and to really find that God space. And again, if you don't like the word God, use whatever you can connect with to say that space that is love and awareness and trust, everything, that knowledge, that knowing, everything melts in there. And that's the space that realization of that again. That's been my journey, to be aligned with that.
I'm glad that you brought up the G word, the God word,
Yeah.
because it is a powerful one. Because
Yeah.
there's religion is, and I will admit on my end, when I have always personally had an issue with religion, in the sense of these strict boundaries. Not in every way. Usually, it's the extremes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this, well, you don't do it that way because, or no, they won't like you because, or you'll be punished because. So it has created this kind of instant, like a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I just think that it's a powerful, but yet kind of abstract way that you're speaking of this. Because when you're talking about it, you're using words like, awareness and love and trust, but then linking that to the word God.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of it, because I think for many of us, many, many people, we have, even for myself, like I said, the where I grew up, that religion was saying, I was a second class citizen, I was this, but they were using the word of God. But again, inside I was like, yeah, no, that doesn't make sense. And for me, what always has stood out, and what I've always come back to, that no matter what religion, what scripture, what spiritual doctrine you take, it all says the same thing. There is one being, oneness, one. We are one.
Yes.
That oneness of it stands out. That love, there is only love. That love, unconditional love, stands out. And it says it's in everything and everyone. We're all the same. It's in all of us. Again, brings you to that oneness. It says it sees all. That sees all, it's that awareness. I am aware of everything. When you say I am aware, is that awareness of, aware of everything, all the senses, outside, inside. And so anything you look at as the baseline of what they all have in common, it's very simple, and it's that guidance that takes you back inside your heart, that takes you back into that life force before this body became a body. It takes you to that space.
Okay. So, and this is where we have this disconnect. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Like people don't feel this oneness. They don't feel the self-love. They don't feel the trust because they're not connected. They don't feel like this godly feeling within them, the fact that I am God, you are God, we are God, and God is this power around us. People don't feel that, and because they don't feel that, then that's where we have resentment and fear and unworthiness and stuckness.
It is. And again, I tell people, use whatever word that makes you feel that way, because people say, okay, can I use universe? I said you can, but then feel that word. When you say universe, you're not going to be able to feel it inside. When I say universe, immediately you're like outside and galaxies and stars and everything. It just, then you don't feel it in your heart. You
Mm.
can't bring it in and keep it in there. So pick whatever word. There are people that use grace. Grace is another good word. It's unconditional love. The word love, again, that's loaded as well. People can use that. So it's whatever you can say to connect to this space, to bring it in, that really starts to ease up and let go of control, to ease up and let go of the judgment. That's the main thing, that good or bad, right and wrong. And that duality that we all have been accustomed to live our life in. So that's where, use whatever word you want. A lot of people just use I am, and that's fine as well.
Mhm.
But whatever you are finding that helps you stay in that space, to recognize you are, it's not even get into a space, that's who you are. You are that awareness, that self, that ultimate self is aware, is love, is peace, it's bliss.
Ooh, that's a good word, bliss. Okay, so two parts to this question. And so, how did you, please tell us how you started this for yourself, like in what I call this creativity and transforming suffering to enlightenment.
Mhm.
So, please give some concrete examples of how you actually did this transformation for yourself. And then also, which is then going to lead into how you actually do it for your clients to take them from this place of not knowing how to having this ability.
Similar, I do what I did for myself, very similar to the clients. But what if the first thing is, I truly stopped blaming the outside,
Mhm.
and sort of that taking responsibility of my life, myself, and that everything that's happened that has brought me to that point, that when this I started this, is like, okay, whatever's happened in the past, it was by my own choosing, by my own doing, nobody else. I'm not gonna say it's because all of it is mine. I'm taking response from this point on. It's my life, I'm responsible, everything's there. So sort of like close the loop, that I cannot, sort of everything's back at me now, right? I can't go outside. I can't blame anybody. It's like close the loop, we're going to stay here. And in that space, then becoming aware of my patterns, my behaviors, my triggers, what is there? Sort of like, let's bring all this up and let's look at it. And then forgiveness, acceptance and forgiveness. I had to do a lot of accepting, a lot of forgiveness. And you have to be honest with yourself. You cannot, when you take responsibility and say, okay, I'm going to look at everything, you cannot turn back. You cannot say, oh, let's resist looking at that. Oh no, I don't want to see that about myself. Oh no, all those judgments about yourself. You got to let it go. Accept it, forgive yourself, forgive others, ask forgiveness. And all of that then allows you to open up this space, that then you can start having love and gratitude for yourself, for your being, for your body, for the people around you. You're not looking at it as good or bad. This villains of your stories, even villains. Thank you. I love you. Without you, I wouldn't be here. Thank you. So that love and gratitude, then all of it gradually, then you build this trust. No, if everything that happened brought me to this point, look at this great plan. I'm going to trust my knowing myself, and I'll let everything else, trust that everything else is part of the same plan. Everything is for purpose. And really, then it's like that cycle loop, rinse, repeat, until you really start to let go of these identities, characters, everything you've built, all these fears. And they're all because of fears. Really, you want safety. You want to feel wanted. You want to feel supported. You want to, that fear of survive. I'm not going to survive. I won't be able to survive. I had that when I was a kid. And all those fears, because of them, I wanted safety. I wanted those things. And that's how these patterns, behaviors, identities got created in the first place.
Which makes complete sense. But what keeps going through my head right now is, please explain to the people, maybe you did say it already, you probably did, but the people that are saying, but I was abused. How do you expect me to accept responsibility for that? How is that my fault if someone else did this to me?
Right there, we're not saying it's your fault. Taking responsibility is not putting fault on anybody. Taking
Thank you.
responsibility is that in this moment, I'm going to say whatever has happened for a purpose, and I am responsible for my life up to this point and in the future. Again, it's not about fault, because when you get into that, then you start to want to, the blame comes, the
Yes.
wanting to, all those struggle stories, everything comes. Again, the whole thing is that I'm closing the loop. I'm saying
Yes.
everything's mine. Taking responsibility is like, yeah, I'm going to own this. I'm going to own
Okay.
this.
Thank you for that, because it's not fault, everybody. It's not fault, it's ownership. Um,
No.
and
My
what just
dad
popped in,
abused me. My ex abused me. But I had to stop blaming them for how I was behaving or responding to things. So it wasn't to blame, put, as long as I keep blaming them and say it's fault, it's their fault. My dad did this to me and it's his fault that I turned out this way. What is the point? When am I going to change and shift? Taking
right.
responsibility is saying, yes, my dad did this, and his family, whoever did it before him. If I'm going to do this, I can go back generations of why I got to this. And I can blame generations and generations, but I'm not going to do that, because what's the point? I'm taking responsibility. All right, it
Yeah.
stops with me.
I love that. It's that victim mentality. My mom has been saying, for she's just turned 82 today, so happy birthday, mom.
Oh, happy
And
birthday.
yay, she's amazing, and so young, and just so, age is, it's just a number. But she has friends that she's known since kindergarten, and but as she's kind of met people along the way, she's like, there's people in their 70s and 80s that still blame their parents. She's like, when are you going to get over that? like like you're in your 80s right now. But it's, we do it.
Blaming anything, blaming the circumstances, blaming, I even at that point, I blamed life, God. At some point, I had to make peace with God too. I talked about God before, but it was that, I was blaming, like, what have I done to get to, all these things happen to me, always is happening to, it's like, well, let's not, that's outside too. Let's not put blame on life or God or whoever else that's out there that, everybody wants to blame things on. No, because what it does too, it gives me my power back to me. That's
Yes.
how you gain your power. I'm not going to put this on anybody else. I'm in charge. This is my life.
This is the suffering, transforming suffering to enlightenment. So,
Yeah.
what I'm also thinking about is a very concrete example of, so when you had your retreat, which I was not on, but I saw and I heard about, what is kind of sticking out in my mind right now is the fact that you got hurt.
Yeah.
Like, you got really hurt, but you didn't see it as everything was ruined. Can you
No,
please
that was
share?
an
Can you please share
amazing
that?
trip. Yeah, that was an amazing trip. So I had planned this retreat for a long time. I mean, it took months before we got there. And I get there, I was there a day earlier to make sure, get situated. And
And you were
on
in
the
Mexico, correct?
Yes, Tulum, Mexico,
Mhm.
which is different than Cancun and Playa. I think it's Playa del Carmen. Very different. It's very small. There are not that many doctors. They're still building out the city, so it's not like that. And on the first day that the retreat started, first session in the morning, I think we were an hour into it, that I fully ruptured my Achilles. And I didn't do anything. It was part of the session. I was helping, and I was like dancing, and I just jumped up in the air, midair. Everybody heard it pop, and I landed on my good foot. And I was like, yeah, everybody knew there's something wrong. So the amazing thing was I had no pain, zero pain. And everybody said, like, what happened? I'm like, I don't know what happened, but yeah, I can't get on my foot anymore. And there was somebody else there, which again, that's how everything comes together. The person that was supposed to, again, we happened to meet, all magic, it's not all meant to be. I met her, and she decided to come and take pictures. Now she's a shaman, she's a healer as well, but she takes amazing pictures. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to come take pictures. And there were people there that were going to take pictures. So, and before we were going, it kept coming, she's going to help me. I'm like, she's going to help me? How is she going to help me? I said, okay, in my head, I'm like, okay, we'll see what's happening. As soon as that happened, I'm like, okay. So I called her over. I'm like, yeah, I can get on my foot. So I'm going to like crawl to some places, but then I need you to take over the places that I can't stand up. And then all the excursions that meant like, that we had planned, I couldn't go with them. So I told her, I asked her if she could go and make sure like everybody's okay there, whatever they need, that she can provide for them. But yeah, and I stayed the whole trip. I did all the sessions, everything that we were supposed to do, we did it. And I was on crutches the whole time. And the hotel we were in, there was no elevators, and no, it was a tub that, a big tub that I had to like crawl into. I was like going step by step on my bottom. It was hilarious. It was such a hilarious trip. It was like, and for me, the entire time, it was like that, knowing that, I tell you, everything comes from that. We are just like a kid that, nobody teaches you how to walk, but yet you learn how to. It's like it's a natural flow. There is no doing. And just like that trip, I had never been on crutches. I didn't know, but somehow I knew how to use these things. I knew how to get up and down the steps, and into, like, everything was like a natural thing. I didn't have to like, oh my, what am I gonna do here? I was like, yeah, we're just gonna naturally figure this out.
The reason why I wanted to bring it up, and can you give people how long were you there? Was it a week?
We were there a week. Yeah, we got there. It started, I think, Sunday, and we left on Thursday.
And I want to paint a picture for everybody. Like, you needed surgery when you got back, didn't you?
Yes, yes, I came back. It was full. There was no Achilles attached, not at all, and it was pretty. I mean, I'm still recovering. I still haven't fully recovered. The recovery of it is a year, they say, and for 8 weeks I was pretty much laid up. I couldn't put my foot down. I was on crutches and those wheelie thingies. And yeah, yeah, it's a major thing. It's not a.
Yeah. So I find this personally important because I think it's a highlight to the fact of everything that you're talking about, being in this state of awareness and trust and love. Because I believe that when you were in that space, you were receiving so much love. People were going out of their way
Yeah.
in that space to care for you, to bring you things, to take the best care of you possible, and you didn't have to ask. Obviously they knew something was
Yes.
really wrong, but I'm saying it's coming from a different place. There are those times when someone is, and you know this, everybody, when someone is really cranky and honestly just straight up bitchy, people do not want to help you. They will do what they have to do, but they're not going to bend over backwards. They're not going to go out of their way to do these things for you. But when you're coming from this space that you're speaking about, this magic happens where you didn't even have to ask for things.
No, no. I mean, the workshop days, honestly, for me, it didn't even feel like I was hurt because I did whatever I was gonna do. So that was like, and on the days that the excursions that I didn't get to go and I stayed at the hotel, um, with the injury like this, being at a hotel, especially like I'm saying, this is not a handicap friendly place. Okay. And like you're saying, I didn't even ask for anything. And for example, we went to the cab came to take me to the doctor, and when that's a whole story I'm not even going to get to. Anyway, there was no doctor, and then we came back. Nothing happened. Basically, he brought me back, and Tulum is not a place that you can just go get crutches from somewhere. Like it's not just like that. So we're coming back, and they helped me. I came out of the cab, and I'm thinking, like, I just did this. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, how am I gonna get around this place? And suddenly, this security guard out of nowhere is like, "Stop!" And we're all looking at him. He ran. Like, what is going on? He ran. He came back with crutches. And I was like, oh my God, God bless you. And he was so cute. He's like, no, let me adjust it for you. And he adjusted it for me. And I was like, how awesome is this? Okay, I have crutches now.
Mhm.
I can get around. And so I'm going around and I'm like in my own zone. I'm looking. And then there were people it's my second home. This place is now my second home. And I would turn around, I would see like Mauricio behind me. I'm like, Mauricio, go. I'm okay. He's like, nope, I'm gonna make sure you're gonna get up quickly. I'm like, you see how slow I walk? It's gonna take me a while before go to work. Nope, I'm gonna make sure you're at your
Oh.
room and then I'm gonna go. So they were all like that with me. And I didn't, you're right, I didn't have to even ask anybody to help me. It's just like it was there, it was given to me.
So, if I ask this question, I'm wondering if that is the answer, or if you want to expand on it, which is how has creativity helped you heal emotionally, spiritually, and/or physically?
Creativity again is that space of love. It's there is nothing else. I mean, when you get into that space, I mean, I started by actually creating things. Okay, when I started that healing, when I said, my life came to a screeching halt, at that point I actually became creative. I started my artwork, I started writing poetry, then I doing this business, all of that. So it was a external creating that got all my stuff out. And I do believe in that too. It's not like, oh, that's not that's a part of this. And now it's more of, this is creating, this conversation is a creation in love. And it's not a doing anymore. it's it's a space, it's a feeling, it's a being.
It's so interesting. So today, and I've been doing a long-term art sub-position for high school, and I brought in a deck that I created, and I also brought in a Gabby Bernstein affirmation deck. And what's interesting is I had some kids pull from this deck today, and I hadn't done that before with them. And my deck is very much like an I am courageous. I
Mm-hmm.
am, I am sexy, which is always funny when the kids have pulled that. They're like, oh. um, but in this one, it was a little bit more like, I am meditative and using my powers for, to move forward. And it was interesting because one of the kids were like, they didn't understand exactly what it meant. I was like, do you
Mm-hmm.
understand that? And they're like, I don't, because they're looking for this literal translation. And I was kind of like, take the words, break them down. What does it feel like to you? And at one point, one of the kids, I forget exactly what it said, but it was about meditation and using your powers for peace or something like that. He's like, I don't understand that. I said, but you really love music. You love making music. And music is like a meditation while you're actually mixing beats. You're mixing beats, and that's your meditation. I see you're in the zone. I see you're in the flow. You're happy as anything. I had never seen him so happy within these last two art sessions. He was literally jumping through the roof. He was like, I have never accomplished this kind of beat before. And I can't believe I did this and it. I said, so by you being in that flow, that's a meditation. And then you're sharing it with others, which is giving them peacefulness, which is giving them a part of you. And it's creating this joy.
Yes.
And he's like, he stopped and he said, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, beautiful. I love that explanation. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Any space that you lose yourself, meaning you're losing that ego identity, whatever you want to call it, and you are in that space fully in love and just like flowing.
So here, what we were just talking about, we were talking about the external, which is the doing and the creating and the expressing and then that internal,
Mm-hmm.
which is and you keep saying it, and I just really, I'm creating this immersive event about love. So I love the fact that you're just like, it's just everything. It's just love.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in that space of love, there's confidence, there's peace, there's connection, it's a beautiful space to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's life. It's life. Once you take all the judgments and good and bad and should and how and need to and would and all of that stuff, when you take it out and look at it as like, yeah, it all is. It's perfect.
Can you please explain to people exactly what being a shaman means?
Shaman, honestly, this is one of, I have many titles. When I do these things and they read my bio, I'm like, wow, there's just like so much in there. But I put it in there just because of, that's how people find me. So got to use it. But um, shaman, the origins of it actually goes back a long way, and it started in Siberia of all places. That's what I have found through my research. I'm sure
Mm.
somebody's gonna correct it or say yes or no to it, but do your own research. My research said it started in Siberia, but anyway, it is. So what shamans, the way they work is a connection with the natural world, with sort of earth, sky, wind, stars, all those things, with nature around you. There's a communication, there's a connection, and there's the seeing of the sort of this life in layers, that they're realms, layers of spirits, and how you communicate with them. And the importance of a shaman is that you sort of losing that self, that ego self, again, whatever you want to call it, and you're allowing the message, that communication, that insight to come without tainting it with any personal stuff. And that's how you bring that healing to them. And you're using a lot of those natural elements as part of the healing process, the energy of it, the essence of it. And a lot of the things also that goes with shamanism, there are things called cord cutting, um, you know, generational healing, land healing, things like that.
I get these are all tools.
Hmm.
So, like you said in your bio, there's all these things listed, but it's kind of when you meet with your clients, when you have these experiences, you're kind of assessing and seeing what's needed in order to help them to get to this point that we're talking about.
Yes, and that's why I said it. I said, let me just use life alchemist. I think it's a little bit better term. It's more like exactly what you said, is that whatever is needed at that point, I use whatever tools that's coming to me and using it, whether it's tools from shamanism, from being an energy healer, from guidance, from even like modern things like EFT or
Mm.
EMDR, things like that. So just like whatever tools at that point is needed, I combine them and use them.
What do you do for yourself if you kind of have like a slip in a sense where you're feeling out of sorts, you're feeling this kind of disconnection, not totally connected with the love. What do you do for yourself to balance and center yourself?
To be honest, I don't have disconnection because disconnection is not possible. It's who you are. You can't be,
Expand on that, please.
yeah.
Yes.
So it's like I that life force, if I lose that life force, this physical form is not going to be here, right? That means I'm
Right.
out of this
Right.
physical form. So that life force, it never dies, never that. So it's not a going away. So you're never disconnected. So don't, for people out
Mhm.
there, you are never going to be disconnected. Now you may not be fully feeling it or fully in that state, sort of like you're not operating from that state, you're operating from a persona state. That's different. And for me, there are
Mm.
times, everybody's that knows me knows, like, my biggest thing that still to this day can, get me triggered. Thank God it's like it's calmed down so much more. It's me being a mom. And when that comes, so those fears that come, it's not sort of not going into the story, not going into the story, the character, and sort of allowing, staying in that space, staying in that, again, you want to call it God state, higher self state, I am, whatever you're calling it, staying in that state and allowing this to sort of come and melt back into here.
Not going into that story.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. It's so funny. There's, these stories right now are about the classroom, along with other things going on in the world. But what I do, but what's popping up is like certain things, especially when you're working with kids and teenagers and something's happening and you don't need to say certain things. Like they know that they're doing the wrong thing. And all you have to do is stare at them. And
Yeah.
so much can be said with just a stare.
Yeah.
And you just maintain the eye contact. And they look at me and they're like, what? What, Miss Citron? What am I doing? I'm not doing anything. I am not doing anything. Why do you keep looking at me like that? And nothing is said. And then they're like, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they know. They know. They know what
Like,
they're doing. It
but I think that
is.
kind of pertains to all of us. It's like that immediate defense mechanism that comes up. And here what you're saying is not going into the story because it could be like, well, they did this to me, so I had to react. And they looked at me the wrong way, or they made a mark on my paper, or they said this thing and it triggered me. So there's always something.
Yeah, and you're right. Usually it's either we're trying to keep ourselves safe or we're trying to fix something or prevent something from happening. So, and that's why we get into the story. So, and if you look at it as everything that's happening in this moment is exactly perfect and as it needs to be, everything is as it should be. So just stay here.
Tell everybody, we've talked about it, but about your book. I mean, this book is just a culmination of everything of who you are, and um, love that it's, with your publishing house that you started, and with, turning your book into an audiobook, and it's going to be in different languages, and all of this learning and everything that's going on through this creative process, and you expressing yourself. Please share.
Yes, again, I still always say thanks to Hollis, that this book came about because, again, it was that being in that chapter, being in that creative process with you, that God was like, yeah, I'm gonna go do this now. And so change yourself, change the world. um, and it's been what, number one bestseller on Amazon. It's gotten several awards. But the best thing is that the people, whether they've written reviews or they've just like shared.
Oh, okay, everybody. I just lost Atousa. That was just the perfect. That was the point. It was a cliffhanger. So okay, 46:21. Hopefully, Atousa is joining in. Is going to rejoin, and we will edit this out. If anybody is joining us live, please put something in the chat and let us know where you are listening from, and give us a like and a subscribe. Here we go. There you are.
Here
I was
I
like,
am. I
right
know.
on the that was like a cliffhanger.
I know. I was looking at it. I don't know where I lost you. But yeah, so change yourself, change the world, a lot of awards. But the biggest thing is the people telling me how it's impacted them, how they carry it, they keep going back to it, they open it up. And the process was amazing putting it together. It's available on ebook, paperback, and the audiobook. I think that's another fun thing that I did, that I'm the narrator of the audiobook. And it seemed to have actually worked out perfectly, because a lot of people say, even they've read the book, they say it's a very different energy when they hear me talk about it
Mm.
and say it. So yeah, and hopefully I'm gonna get it translated into different languages. That's still in the works, but yeah, definitely an amazing journey. And I'm still grateful. And it's also at a bookstore for those local to DMV. It's at Kensington Row Bookshop, and that's an amazing place too. So if you guys want to support them as well, if you're local, go stop by.
Beautiful. Please speak to authors. So everybody has a story. It seems like people may be like, oh, so and so's writing a book and so and so's writing a book. And it sounds like a lot, but there is really a small percentage of people that actually step up to fully go through the whole process of writing their story and birthing it out into the world. So tell us a little bit about that process. Was it, just tell us whatever you want to say in that birthing process of the book
It's
and the
a
creating?
healing journey. It was interesting for me, as much as I had already talked about it in shows and everything. Um, some of it I had put in the book that I did with you, but even here, I was still surprised. I was like, wow, it's still like things coming out, and it's interesting. And that's why when I did the multi-author book with my group, with my publishing, I reminded everyone, this is going to be a healing journey, and let me guide you through these healing steps. And it was. And that's the biggest thing I want people to know. Don't worry about the publication, not publishing it. Um, Find a space, start writing. It is a healing process. And it is a healing process, especially when you know you're going to put it out into the world. And so find someone you love, you connect with, and that they can guide you through this process. And every story, no matter who has said it and how they've said it, if you are feeling called to put your story out there, do it, because there is going to be someone that needs to hear it.
And I appreciate again the fact of you saying that it doesn't have to be about the actual publishing aspect of it, because it really is this vulnerability and this expression and this self-awareness and the diving into your story, to stepping into your story and releasing this, as we're speaking about blame and victimhood and owning things. And I often think about this story that I heard years and years ago. It was, I think it was on NPR or something, and it talked about in a subway tunnel somewhere in New York how they found these stories written on walls. And this person, who they do not know who it is, wrote their story, literally filling up walls and walls of their life story. And obviously, it was in a tunnel, it was underground, it wasn't meant for anybody to see, but it was an expression, it was a birthing in order to want to share it
Yes.
just for themselves. I
Yes.
think that's
Yes.
powerful.
It is, because you're not hiding anymore. A lot of times we don't want to share, and that was at the beginning when I talked about being truthful and honest with yourself and seeing everything. When you do something like that, you are putting things out there. You're not hiding anymore, and that's important. Or parts of yourself, you're not hiding anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much in that, so much freedom in that. It's like you can breathe. It's like weight, like literally when they say it feels like, 20 pounds is lifted off my shoulders. It's kind of like, whew.
Yeah, yeah. Birthing, you said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's always a little repetitive, but I love how people always give me different answers when I ask this a little bit in a different way. So, kind of going full circle, why do you think creativity is important?
Because you get to talk to your soul.
Ooh.
It's a communication with you and you. It's
It's
that
not a
it's a communicating with, you're not, it's not, again, call it whatever, God, whatever, but you're doing it for yourself. It's a communication with you, to you. It's an expression of you.
It's all about you.
Yeah, it's not, you know, I don't create art to say I'm creating this art for someone to come and buy it and like it, and oh, they're going to think it looks good in their home. The art that I create, it's an extension of me. I do it for me. I love it. It's part of me. It's I'm talking to me.
Do you do commissions? Do you feel different when you're doing commissions?
I've
If you
done
do commissions.
I've done commissions a couple of times, but actually, those commissions ended up being like they loved one of the artwork, but they just absolutely hated. Like I don't know, like I guess I had yellow, and I can't remember. Let's say there were places where there was yellow. It's like, can you just get rid of the yellow? Like the yellow is absolute my least favorite, and I think I did that. So it wasn't like commission like that, but you know. Um, yeah, I'll take commission. Depends on what it is. If they want me to draw, and what is that banana? They stick a banana on the wall, and that guy sold a lot of things. But yeah, I don't know. No, nobody's asked me to do any commissions like that, so it'll be interesting if somebody does. But it's just been mainly my own artwork that they just wanted to tweak it a little bit.
I just asked because it is a different energy, I feel
It
like.
is. It
Because
is.
what you're saying here is the art is an extension of me. So you're not worrying. There isn't the thought of, oh, is this what they asked for? Is
Yeah.
this how they're gonna want it? Is it the right font? Is it the right size? Is it like
Yeah.
all of the questions that come up? Some people love commission work and it's what they do, but just the
Yeah,
feeling that I got in what you said is it's just a different energy.
it is a different energy. That brings up a actually interesting point. So the cover art for the multi-author book that I published, that one, when I did the cover art for that one, so that cover art had to be um, agreed upon by all the authors in the book. So I wanted to be something that it had everybody's energy, everybody's buying, and everybody like sort of came together to say, yes, this is it. This is what we want. So that was a little bit different experience. I wasn't creating me for me, but more like, let's take this story, feel the energy of this story that we're going to put out there. Like at that point, we just had the title and we knew with a sense like what we're going to put in the book. I didn't even know what it was going to be in the chapter. So it was just based on a title and the energy we wanted to put in this book. And that's how I created the cover for that. But then it went through a lot of iterations that I would say, okay, what about this? And somebody said, well, this part of it, I feel this way. Then I like tweak it back and it's like, okay, what about this? So it was a
Yeah.
little bit different. Yeah. But still, it was still an expression. I was still in it. So it was an expression of all of us.
It's just a different process. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a different process. I agree.
So before they find out how they can connect with you, do you feel like, is there anything else we forgot to talk about? Any kind of like last words or final advice that's kind of like jumping into your head that you want to share?
No, just really, I know this is cliche. Everybody said it, be here now. That's the main thing. Just stay in the moments, enjoy the moments, and stay present for whatever is showing up. And no, we covered everything. This was amazing, as always.
Whew. This was so good. Oh my God, Atousa, please tell them how they can find you.
My website, which is my first name, last name, atousaraissyan.com. All my social media is on the website. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Yeah, if you want, comment on this podcast or just, yeah, on social media, send me a message, however you want. Happy to hear from you.
She's everywhere, and all of the links are listed above, below, whatever social media we're on right now. And definitely get Atousa's book and connect with her. You will be so, so happy that you did. Atousa, thank you so much for being here and chatting.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It was amazing. Thank you.
So grateful for you. So, everybody, thank you so much, truly, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that you could be doing anything with your hour, and I'm so grateful that you chose to spend it here. So, if today's conversation resonated with you, please like, follow, share, spread the goodness. I believe we have always needed these conversations, but I believe that we need them now more than ever. And if you're feeling stuck in your personal or professional life, check out my Get Unstuck membership at iamcreativephilly.com. As a creativity doula, I am here to help you bring your ideas to life. And until next time, please explore the possibilities, express yourself, and take time to expand yourself by doing something just for you. And I wish you a beautiful holiday in whatever you celebrate. And you can catch us again live in 2025. First week of January, we're taking a little hiatus. And please take care of yourself. This is the perfect time to do all that. So thank you so much, everybody, and look forward to connecting with you soon.